as you probably already know. And look, the subject of yesterday's video was on operations, company operations. This is the backroom stuff. This is the set of people, those heroes, unsung heroes that make things happen. Marketing and sales certainly make things happen, but they wouldn't be able to do much of anything if you didn't have people producing the product, manufacturing it, doing all the distribution, and all of the administrative things, finance and HR and legal and all those sort of things, in order for your company to be successful. So this video grouped all of them together into this subject called operations. So that's what we're going to talk about today, whether you like it or not. These are really good people, and they're necessary, absolutely. Look, though, before we start, just a reminder, I'd very much appreciate if you joined us on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. In there, you'll find this playlist on entrepreneurship in action, and you'll see many other playlists on marketing, sales, leadership, management, financing, and the list goes on. There's about 8 or 9 featured right on the YouTube homepage when you subscribe to our channel. So subscribe now. I'll look forward to having you also comment and share your views, ask questions. I'll respond on YouTube. I want your comments here now. Also, during this live broadcast, I'll respond. I've already got a few questions from the video from yesterday, and we'll share them with you as well. So let's get into operations. There it all is. All this stuff. Holy smokes. In the video, I did them one by one. It is a long video. Get yourself a cup of coffee to last through it. Keep yourself alert, if you will. So this is in a somewhat logical order. I start with development because, quite frankly, that's where I come from. I'm a former development executive. I grew up as a software developer way back before shortly after the earth cooled, not before it, but a long time ago at IBM. They taught me how to be a software engineer. So then I grew up to do management and executive stuff. But anyway, development of products, whether it's software, hardware, or professional services of some kind, or a methodology for them, or personal services, process and procedures. There's development of all sorts of things that have to go on for a company to deliver whatever it's going to deliver to its customers. So it's all about a few things that you really got to get done well. One is you have a process for development. You could plan out over a timeline the steps that have to take place in order to develop a product. So you're going to cover the features and follow a specification for what these products have to be. But at the end of it all, it has to be high quality. And you're going to hear me say this one probably about 4 more times, because all of the development of all the products and the services or whatever other methodologies there are for performing whatever your personal or professional service is, it's all about delivering quality. In software, you can't have bugs. In hardware, it can't break. In methodologies, customers got to be satisfied with it. So the quality of what you do is the most important thing in terms of results. If you don't have quality in whatever it is you're delivering to customers, you may win them initially, but they're going to catch on that this ain't such a great place to be or great product to be with, and you'll lose them. So keep that in mind. I talked about many other things in yesterday's video with respect to development, but the thing that really comes to mind and most important, the message I want to deliver to you is have a process, deliver quality. That's it. The next is you might say, well, why did I put support second on the list? Well, it's kind of dull stuff, isn't it? I mean, it's kind of grungy and people are mad at you and all that sort of stuff. No, think again. Think again. Support, I call, and I think others have written about it. I didn't invent this term, but having great support is the new differentiator for a company. You got great products, great services, great marketing, great sales. You've differentiated yourself in a lot of ways with respect to products and services. Well, how about being differentiated as a great company to work with? Their support is outstanding. They handled my issues quickly. They got through the issue I had and solved it, and it now works, or whatever. You want those kinds of things being said about you. So rethink. If you're back in the dark ages prior to 1990, thinking support is dull stuff and just fixing bugs or fixing manufacturing errors or handling complaints by email and whatever, think again. You want to have really, really good customer support starting from your website and working your way into the rest of the company. So you're going to do Q&A kinds of things, FAQs, whatever you decide to call them, but you need to do them in modern media, like videos. Yeah, there's Warner talking about videos. He loves videos, blah, blah, blah. Well, yes, but you should too, because it's a way for you to communicate very effectively about handling customer issues. So every major problem that people are having or confusion they're having, do a video. If people are having difficulty assembling your product, do a video. Put it on your website. Send them an email. Say, here's a video that you can watch to understand how to assemble this bicycle or this printer. I just put a new printer over here. I did it in 5 minutes because the support was brain dead simple. I'm not kidding you. 5 minutes. So I had a few printers, so I kind of got the gist of it, but it would, take you 10 minutes if you've never done one before. Think about support as being one of your major departments in your company that puts a face out to customers and quite frankly will save your customers when they have a problem of some kind. The other thing is the expensive support is not something you want because you get lots of telephone calls and lots of emails and a lot of people throwing stuff at you in chat. That takes human beings. Support is a big expense item. If you had things done in video, you had available information that's easy to find, you don't get a whole lot of phone calls, emails, and chat discussions going on. You want that to happen because your products and services are intuitive to start with, but you have great support behind it in case they get mixed up a little bit. All right, enough said on that. Let's go to manufacturing. I actually have been in manufacturing as a software guy. So get ready for the 10 cents tour on this one. And look, this is all about, guess what? Quality again. Oh, guess what? It's cost again. Lower your manufacturing costs. For every penny you lower your manufacturing cost by is 1 penny that goes right to the profit line of your company. So if you save a penny in a part that goes into some product you build, you get a penny for every time you ship one. If you saved a penny, that is. So this is a segment of the business that's run by process, manufacturing process. It's designed, the manufacturing line is, designed by manufacturing engineers. And automation is a big thing. You know that already. But look, at the end of it, high quality, this is going to start being repetitive, right? High quality, low cost, measure the results as you go along. Run by the metrics. It's tops on bottoms, middles in between, putting stuff together and done well, done better than anyone else. You could have a distinct competitive advantage if you could deliver products whose cost is lower than your competitors. That gives you some leverage in handling, price breaks and special offers. It doesn't hurt you as much in terms of the bottom line, profit. So that's manufacturing. Distribution kind of goes hand in hand with this, in that it too is the distribution channel to your customers. Like if you buy stuff online, you probably send it through Amazon. But if it's a product that has to be shipped through distributors, dealers and distributors, so your supply chain to the distributor has to be really high quality as well, and that you're delivering your products to your distributor dealers, and that whole chain and relationship has to be really solid. Now let me talk a little bit about supply chain, because it applies to manufacturing as well. The supply chains of companies is in turmoil right now. That, certainly, precipitated by COVID, but it's also precipitated by international competition and international relationships. You better be on top of what your supply chain looks like. Who is making the parts that get sent to you to manufacture some product? And understand what their suppliers are to your supplier, because they have a supply chain too for raw materials and other components and that kind of thing, as they make something for you. So really, this takes really skilled people and experienced executives, people who've gone through this in manufacturing and distribution and establishing dealer relationships, that if you're just starting a company, you want somebody really on top of this that knows the ropes. Let's go on to finance and accounting now. What you want that's going to really serve you well in the area of finance and accounting is, first of all, a very experienced person providing you the finance and accounting services. Someone, quite frankly, who has a CPA. That's your best bet. They're going to be a little bit more expensive, but man, you've got a better chance of things being right than some rookie who just you went to community college and learned finance and now is going to do bookkeeping for you. So you want a person that you have an ongoing relationship with, that provides you periodic reporting on the financial status of your business, lets you know how you're doing, knows can present you an income and expense statement, cash flow, balance sheet, periodically, so you know where you stand. This person could also do your taxes, but sometimes that could be done by a separate person. Sometimes accountants specialize only in bookkeeping and the CPA experience that gets applied to that. Some will do tax as well, but you need to have both covered, done by professional people. In the HR arena, this is human resources and the personnel guy in your company that helps keep you straight on your employee relationships, quite frankly. And this is a person that you'll probably work with as a consultant from the very beginning, and have them advise you and guide you in corporate policy, privacy, things like that, and making sure you don't run amok of labor laws, both for employees as well as subcontractors. There's a lot to it. It's changing frequently, so you better be on top of this one too. Get yourself a really good human resources consultant, and start at an hourly rate, and then you can maybe go to retainer if you use a lot of their time. But you'll have to be a rather large company, 100 employees and on up, before you'd hire an HR executive to join your firm. And finally, another operational thing is legal help, a corporate attorney. And you should have one of these from the very beginning. Someone who makes sure that your company gets set up properly with all the right board resolutions that officially form your company, and can do all of the work that you need to have done in the operations of your company, like sales contracts, contracts with subcontractors, and on and on. They have templates for this stuff. They know all the special language that's got to go into contracts, and you want that kind of help. Don't try to make this stuff up yourself. When you go through a contract and you go through 3 or 4 pages of gobbledygook that you don't quite understand, there is a reason for that being there. Ask your attorney why. What does this mean? You'll learn from it. You'll also may want to consider, if you're developing a new technology that might be protectable, you might want to get a corporate intellectual property attorney. They're very specialized. So that's it. That's the gang of, how many we got here? 7 functions within your company, the unsung heroes. So as you consider what you're going to do in this arena, you got to keep in mind that this is the serious infrastructure of your company, and it has to operate efficiently, produce high quality. You've got to be responsive to your customers, and you've got to move on a dime and take pride and be happy about what you're doing as you're doing it. So that's it for the report today on operations. So it's time for your questions. So I've got a few here already. I'll go through maybe 5 or so. This comment just came in. Differentiation and support. What do you mean? Well, I just went through it. I think I got that before. I got through my long-winded explanation. But yeah, it is very important that you consider your support structure, process is the eyes and ears after sale of a product or service to a customer. You want your customers to be dealt with by someone who really cares about them and takes care of them, and you have the infrastructure, the systems, online information, video information that supports that activity. But you want to bring in a person to run this that thinks this way. I'm the face to these customers after the salesperson has left. Now, the salesperson probably has an ongoing relationship, but you're there when stuff happens. And just as important as the sales relationship is on an ongoing basis, it is as well with the support team of your company. So the next one has to do with something I think I just said briefly. Do I need 2 accountants? Well, maybe, depending on who you get. Some accountants do both the tax, file your tax return for you, as well as do the bookkeeping. They kind of go together because it's all the bookkeeping that's done that produces the information that needs for a tax return. But I'll tell you what, a CPA tax person can simply take the output reports of your company, the detailed reports that come out of like QuickBooks, and produce your tax return accordingly. That same person can also provide you ongoing tax advice on how to handle certain situations and how you can best benefit from company operations done certain ways to minimize your tax burden, quite frankly. So you want, if you're working with a person who's kind of the accountant of your company and that's all they do, and they're doing it very well, and you trust them, stay with them. Get another person to do the tax work. Here's a good question, and I should have probably covered it. Hey, as an early stage company, should I be considering doing my own manufacturing? And I say the answer to that is probably not, because it is very, very expensive. I suggest that you consider starting your company with manufacturing and assembly and supply chain management for all of that with an outside party, a seasoned professional company that has experience in your field, your product line. And you bring into your company an executive to manage them, because you're limited on funds. It costs a lot of money to put all that together and hire the people to do all the manufacturing. You got a lot of equipment that you're going to have to buy. Best is to subcontract it. Later on, you can consider bringing it in-house, they say, or you may simply continue with this relationship as an outsourced manufacturing operation. That may just be okay. But as I talked about dual sourcing the supply chain, you might want to dual source manufacturing as well when you consider operating this way. But starting your own manufacturing is a very expensive and time consuming. You're not going to be able to be up and running from a dead stop with nothing yet. You're getting the equipment in, assembling it, testing it, making sure you can actually manufacture what it is, whatever your product is. It's going to take you a lot of time. So that's 3 questions. One person here, I don't quite understand how it's being asked here, but is worried about the supply chain. Basically, he's asking, well, what is a supply chain? It's a fancy term, 2 simple words, but it is the relation. It expresses the relationship that a manufacturer has with all of their suppliers of parts, raw materials, that and equipment that's used in whatever manufacturing process the manufacturing executive has. So the suppliers deliver all of what they need upon order and upon a commitments to a relationship with your company to deliver what you need in order to manufacture at whatever volume you're going to manufacture every day of the week. So the supply chain, though, goes further. When you put a supply chain together, a group of suppliers, you kind of want to understand who are their suppliers and do an assessment of how reliable is their supply chain. I'm relying on this company to deliver me certain parts on certain schedules at certain volume. And I want to know a lot about what their supply chain looks like. So you got to do a little bit of research. And it's part of the negotiation that you have. It's an okay question to ask a supplier. Well, tell me about your supply chain. How are you getting component A, B, C, D, and E delivered on a timely basis? What's your history with them? You go through all of these kinds of discussions to make sure that the supply chain directly to you, to your supplier, and the suppliers to them. You can go down to a 3rd level if you really need to, if it's a really critical part. But you want to know that they've dual sourced their suppliers. You're going to dual source your supplier. So it won't be the only company that you're working with that provides a certain parts. You have maybe 2 of them. And you trade back and forth between the 2 of them in supplying parts. And so you got backup alternatives in case one of them has a major failure. So that's a little bit about supply chain and what it means. It's pretty complicated stuff. It's mind-numbing in terms of details, and it's also mind-numbing in the things that can go wrong over the course of a day, a week, and a year. That it takes some really professional people that know what they're doing to manage your supply chain. So that's why I also urge you, back on the manufacturing question, is consider subcontracting manufacturing out, and they can take care of all this. Now, you're going to have a lot of questions to ask before you contract with them, but that's a little bit about supply chain. So I'm going to cut it here at 24 minutes. That's about long enough for a Unter.live broadcast. Appreciate your questions. Don't forget to subscribe to the Unter.YouTube channel, where you'll get a steady diet of entrepreneurship and action and many other things. I know every single one of you watching this and the video that's going to follow will get some benefit of what we offer. We don't charge you anything for it. If you need help, we'll talk about that. But all that stuff on Atrodot's YouTube channel is there for you to help you. I hope it does. You all have a great day too.